a lioness made a fatal miscalculation when attacking a herd of buffalo. The herd of buffalo counterattacked fiercely, driving the lioness to flee to save her own life. A newborn lion cub, just weeks old, was left crying in the tall grass and discovered by the ranger Kwame. The dust had barely settled over the golden African savanna, scattered with acacia trees, when Kwame, a man whose life was dedicated to the wild, heard the sound. It was not the harsh roar of survival, but the delicate, heartbreaking mew of absolute vulnerability. The lion cub was alone, its eyes barely adjusting to the brutal sun, its tiny body trembling with instinctual fear. The desperate panic of the abandoned cub, contrasting starkly with the relentless cycle of the wild, painted a picture of devastating loneliness. This single moment would change everything. Watch until the end to see the incredible bond forged from this disaster. But amidst the dust and silence, a tiny cry was heard, a faint signal of life answered by the swift action of one dedicated man. Kwame, understanding the immediate threat of predators and dehydration, scooped up the fragile lion cub. His practiced hands provided immediate, life-saving reassurance. The lion cub instinctively burrowed into his chest, a gesture of trust that solidified Kwame's resolve. He navigated the low green grass and sparse acacia trees back to the conservation center, a place of second chances. The center was more than a facility. It was a sanctuary built to mimic the wild, with grassy enclosures, wooden climbing structures, and fences visible in the distance, housing animals plucked from a brink. Among its residents was a troop of gorillas, rescued from a devastating situation years prior. Within this troop was a female gorilla, distinguished by her quiet, observant nature. The lion cub was initially stabilized in a separate, sterile area. Over the first few days, its distress cries echoed across the compound. The staff noticed a peculiar development. The female gorilla, often seen watching the staff with other rescued younglings, started spending nearly all her daylight hours near the boundary of the cub's enclosure. She was not aggressive or merely curious. Her posture was one of profound, silent longing. Her large, intelligent eyes never left the direction of the cries. This sight, the gentle giant silently vigilante, sowed a seed of hope, a question mark hanging over the rigid laws of nature. Kwame, known for his calm pragmatism and respect for animal intuition, spent hours observing her. He consulted with the team, conveying the immense pressure he felt to save the cub, a pressure compounded by the possibility of the cub's mother, the lioness, returning. The team shared their initial skepticism. Cross-species bonding, especially between a predator and a primate, went against every known behavioral pattern. Yet, the subtle, non-verbal communication of yearning from the female gorilla was undeniable. It challenged their science. It challenged their expectations. Do you think it's possible for two completely different species to share a bond this deep? Let us know in the comments below. Skepticism turned to stunned disbelief when the team decided to try the unthinkable, introducing the tiny lion cub to the gentle giant who watched it so intently. The introduction was carried out with meticulous care and palpable tension. A temporary, reinforced section of the female gorilla's enclosure was adapted. When the tiny lion cub was placed inside, it was weak but stable. The female gorilla approached slowly, deliberately, not with the quick, dominant movements of a wild primate, but with the measured steps of a being preparing for a sacred responsibility. She settled against the trunk of a sturdy tree, a perfect portrait of maternal anticipation. This was the moment. The female gorilla gently drew the lion cub close to her massive chest. She delicately grasped the heavy plastic bottle, one powerful yet tender hand supporting the small animal, the other perfectly cradling the bottle for the cub. The cub, exhausted and trusting, latched onto the nipple, nestled perfectly in the curve of the female gorilla's arm. This peaceful scene, the muscular black figure of the female gorilla nursing the spotted golden lion cub, was the living embodiment of the photos the world would soon see. The surrounding troop of gorillas sat silently in the grassy background, observing this unbelievable, tranquil act, an audience to an impossible adoption. The cub thrived under this cross-species guardianship. The female gorilla's touch was impossibly soft. She would groom the lion cub with the same care she might groom a kin, humming soft, low tones whenever the cub whimpered. She was protective, gently nudging it towards soft patches of grass for napping. The lion cub, in turn, showed no fear. It would follow its adoptive mother like a shadow, often batting its small paws against her chest in playful attempts at wrestling, a behavior the female gorilla would indulge with a patient push or a gentle tickle under the chin. This bond wasn't born of instinct. It was a pure, profound lesson in empathy and a universality of maternal love. The profound peace on the female gorilla's face in these moments suggested she had finally found the purpose her childless life had lacked. This beautiful moment of trust reminds us that love always finds a way. But as the lion cub grew stronger and its natural instincts began to stir, a shadow fell over this perfect family, a shadow cast by the original lioness herself. Kwame received the intelligence with a heavy heart. The original lioness had been sighted, scarred but recovered. She was actively patrolling the outer perimeter, her pained calls echoing in the dawn, a powerful, mournful sound of searching. The lioness was persistent, driven by a primal need to find what she had lost. The conservation team realized that the idyllic interlude was nearing its inevitable, difficult end. The lion cub was no longer the fragile infant who had been placed in the female gorilla's care. Its muscles were hardening, its playful pounces were becoming more calculated, and a sharpness in its eyes betrayed the apex predator it was destined to be. Even the female gorilla sensed the change. She became subtly more protective and restless, her usual calm replaced by a vigilant tension. She seemed to know that the laws of nature, deferred for a time, were now demanding their due. Kwame was thrust into a grueling ethical dilemma. He knew, scientifically and morally, that the lion cub belonged with its own kind, learning the survival skills only a lioness could teach. To keep it would be to condemn it to a life permanently separated from its true heritage. Yet, the emotional cost of breaking the bond between the female gorilla and the lion cub felt enormous. He spent a final day watching them interact. He saw the female gorilla patiently correcting the cub's clumsy stalk, then wrapping a comforting arm around it during a midday nap. The sheer, raw purity of their relationship intensified the conflict between what was right by the wild standards and what felt good to the human heart. He struggled with the ethics of intervention, agonizing over the risk to the female gorilla should the lioness become too aggressive during a reunion. The tension between the law of nature and the law of the heart was nearly unbearable. The looming choice weighed heavily on him, forcing him to confront the ultimate responsibility of a conservationist, to respect the wild, even when it demands sacrifice. Stay with us for the final, emotional choice Kwame has to make. The time came for the most difficult farewell, a moment that would test the boundaries of love and the ultimate meaning of freedom. The morning of the reunion was quiet, filled with an atmosphere of profound solemnity. Kwame made the decision. Freedom and natural destiny must prevail. He prepared the lion cub, securing it for the short journey to the perimeter. He allowed one final private moment. He carried the lion cub to the bars of the female gorilla's enclosure. The female gorilla approached instantly, her movements slow, mournful, understanding. There were no cries, no loud gestures of protest, only a deep, abiding presence. The lion cub placed its head through the bars, and the female gorilla gently touched its forehead with her own. This silent, beautiful head-to-head contact, a final, lasting recording of each other's scent and spirit, was the ultimate payoff of their shared story. It was a noble farewell. Kwame then carried the cub to the distant section of the fence where the lioness was pacing. The lioness, a majestic figure marked by the scars of survival, immediately went still. Kwame gently released the lion cub into the tall grass. The cub paused, turning back toward the sound of Kwame's voice, but then the powerful, irresistible scent of its biological mother took over. The lioness approached cautiously, fear giving way to a fierce, undeniable recognition. She nudged the lion cub with her nose, a soft reassurance, and the reunion was complete. The female gorilla, having watched the exchange from a distance until the very end, simply turned and walked back to the center of her enclosure. She sat down, a solitary, powerful figure, making a silent, noble sacrifice for the cub's future. This powerful story is the true definition of love, knowing when to hold on, and more importantly, knowing when to let go so that the one you cherish can fulfill their destiny. The journey from abandonment to this ultimate, bittersweet reunion proves that compassion is not a human-only trait. It is a universal language spoken across all species. The female gorilla and the lion cub taught the world that the most powerful bonds are those forged not by blood, but by profound, empathetic care. If this incredible journey moved you, hit the like button and share this story of boundless love. Subscribe to our channel, because we believe that the most powerful solutions to our world's problems often begin with a little compassion.